Namaste. My name is Preity Upala, and I am a global thought leader and a multimedia personality. Welcome to my podcast, The Preity Experience. Join me as I explore some of the most fascinating and crucial issues that affect our world today. I take a unique global perspective on these issues, and the very foundation of my insights is humanity and spirituality. I'm Preity Upala, and welcome to the Preity Experience.
Namaste everyone. Jai Hind. My name is Preity Upala, and welcome to the Preity Experience. I'm very excited to bring to you my brand new segment, Power Play with Preity, where we have very, very enticing conversations with cricketing legends and thought leaders in the area of the global nature of the sport and the future of international cricket. Now, I have a very, very special guest with me this evening, and I'm going to briefly introduce you to him before I bring him on. My guest today is a noted journalist, author, and former deputy editor of The Hindu and Sportstar. He has covered 6 limited over World Cups and over 150 tests and ODI matches. He is a very committed journalist, usually speaking extensively on the issues of culture and sporting in India specifically. He is also credited with writing several acclaimed books, such as the Virendra Sehwag story, Driven, the Virat Kohli story, and last but not least, World Cup Warriors, the Boys in Blue. So I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Vijay Lokapally. So let's bring him in.
Thank you, Preeti. That was a wonderful introduction, and I don't know if you really deserve it, but thank you very much for having me on your show. And I was very excited and also very nervous because you are a celebrity, so which I am not. So I was looking forward to it, and I'm very happy to be here. And I'll be very happy if you can call me Vijay.
I was just about to say, Mr. Lokapally, welcome to the Preity Experience. So Vijay, my new friend, welcome to the Preity Experience.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You know, it's so interesting. Even during this global pandemic, I think the one thing that has brought together billions of people around the world is the amazing sport of cricket, which, just goes to show the power of sport as a unifying force. Now, I just want to share very briefly with the audience how we met, because I think that was an interesting story to begin with. I, as a writer, I write different pieces on culture, spirituality, politics, geopolitics, so on. But I had written a specific piece about a World Cup match between India and Pakistan, and it was for the largest publication in Israel, of all places, which is the Times of Israel, a huge outlet. And I had posted it a couple of years ago during the 2019 World Cup, and I got a lot of traction. I got a lot of new Israeli fans, and the title was "The Biggest Sporting Event Happened This Weekend," and it was, a very good piece. I got good feedback, so I had posted it on social media a few weeks ago, and Vijay happened to see it. He read it. He reached out, and we started talking, and we realized that there is a conversation here to be had on this sort of global nature of the sport, and how obviously how it brings people together, but also I guess the changing balance of power in the world and so on. So that's how we got connected, and I'm just so happy that we're able to have this beautiful conversation now.
True. I mean, imagine if what would the world be would have been in pandemic without the social media and the internet, because it has allowed you to connect with people, stay sane. I mean, we are all confined to our homes, but we can still connect with the world. And there are so many. If you see platforms being pushed through Zoom
Mhm.
and like this, what do you call the studio? This platform where we are talking. So these are all wonderful happenings in these difficult times, and it's great to connect with you, Preeti. Yeah, I mean you are far away in US, and I'm sitting here in Delhi in my house, and we are talking as if we are just sitting in one room.
Yes, and hopefully one day very soon when I come to India next, we will be in the same room and maybe we'll
Please,
go to a cricket field and sort of
absolutely, absolutely,
have this
absolutely.
conversation there. So, this is more a conversation than an interview. I think it's two friends chatting about something that we're passionate about. And I want to begin with, uh, as I mentioned, this sort of, I guess, globalization of cricket almost and the changing balance of power in the world just generally, and specifically with cricket, because I think where India finds itself today is very different from where it was almost even a decade ago. And it's very much a dominant force. I think India is a dominant force in the world, but specifically with cricket, I guess I want to open it up to you. How do you view that? And also, what effect does that have on the dynamics of the game globally? Like to have India now at the helm in many ways.
Yes. See, Preeti, I mean, I come from a time when visiting teams, I remember having read, were very reluctant to travel to India. I mean, especially teams from England, and there are a couple of players who never came and played in India. Like Dennis Lilly never came to play a test match in India, or Greg Chappell never played a match in India. They had their own reservations, and but we have come a long, long way from those times. I mean, the India's cricket grounds were criticized, the India's hotels were criticized, and then came a time when visiting teams would marvel at the beautiful cricket grounds, at the quality of accommodation provided to them, the travel facilities from train. They now travel in aircrafts. There were times when they had to travel by train, and sometimes even by buses. They had to go by road. So it's come a long way, and I think it is a reflection on the rising, what should I say, power that India now commands as an economically strong country, and it has kind of helped India grow not just in cricket as a sporting nation. If you see badminton, if you see football, there are a lot of progress, and in terms of chess, athletics, even hockey now, India is doing well. But cricket has made rapid strides, and India can rightfully claim to have contributed hugely to make it a global sport. I think it you have to give credit to Jagmohan Dalmia and Mr. Bindra, who emphasized on this aspect of globalization of the game. They wanted cricket to be taken to small countries, which happened, and India has taken the lead.
And you're happy with the fact that, I mean, obviously as an Indian, you're very thrilled that we sort of have the baton in many ways. And even I think a decade ago that was not the case. I mean, other some nations need to still, I think maybe they're still in denial. They might feel like they're still very much uh they have the power, but I think with the IPL and how powerful the BCCI has become, I think it's slowly dawning on people where the power really lies. But I think India, as well as Indian cricket, is a very responsible, mature, democratic power. So nobody needs to be concerned or worried about the future of this game. I think it's in good hands. That's my opinion. Curious to know your views on it.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, if you remember '83 when India won the World Cup, and that's when the seeds were sown, and the World Cup traveled out of England for the first time in 1987 when India Pakistan hosted it, co-hosted it. So and then again in '96, and over the years, cricketers all over the world have come to realize that India is the hub of cricket. You come and play in India, you are appreciated for your game by thousands of people who pack the stadium. And then from 2008, we have had the Indian Premier League, which I think has contributed hugely in improving the lives of many cricketers, not just those who make millions as it is through their annual contracts with their respective boards, but it gives you an opportunity even for average players to make a good living. If you get a IPL contract, you do well. I mean, if you play IPL for a couple of years, your life is taken care of. So there is every reason to believe that India is sustaining world cricket. You look at Preeti, you look at most of the sponsors; they come from India. I
Yes.
mean, if an event is held in wherever it is held in any part of the world, if it's an ICC event, the major sponsors are from India. So that makes me very happy, and it also ensures that the game is in a very healthy state.
I think so. I always say this, that IPL has done more for Indian soft power than our diplomats can ever dream of. And so, which brings me to my next point. How do you see the IPL? And even in the neighborhood, now we have the BPL, we have the SPL, the PSL as well. Is that a good thing? I mean, are you happy to see that? And I guess more can be done to improve some of these other boards. I mean, obviously, IPL is probably one of the biggest sporting tournaments on the planet, if not the biggest on different levels. But I think, is it nice for you to see the subcontinent having all these leagues and really being sort of immersed in the game, and it's helping each of these countries as well in so many ways.
It is. If you see, the crowds come in big numbers. You get good sponsors, and at some point, I know. I mean, the leagues in Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh, they are competing with the IPL, but IPL has taken the lead role, and which is good. I mean, there is so much of cricket happening in the subcontinent. As it is, if you see, if you remember, Preeti, there was something called Asian Test Championship, which was the idea to bring these four nations together, and there was the Asia Cup again to have these four cricketing nations in the subcontinent play an annual cricket tournament, or maybe twice a year, once in 2 years. But the private leagues allow you to make money. They bring in money to the cricket board so that they can sustain the sport the whole season, and in turn they can pay the cricketers well. They are able to provide a good infrastructure. I mean, you look at India, thanks to the IPL, the players are now taken care of very well by the BCCI, and also the fact that it generates employment at whatever little amount, but there is some employment generated by these French private leagues. So if it is good, and it is a good sign, but my only fear is that at no point should it be allowed to overtake or influence
Mhm.
the traditional form of cricket.
Yes, a great point. And I mean, talking about the IPL, I think two nations, or just in cricket in general, two nations that have, I think cricket has changed these countries are Nepal and Afghanistan. And I would love to know how you view cricket changing these two nations, because I think it's had an enormous impact, especially Afghanistan.
You're so right. I mean, you look at Nepal. I mean, they are producing some good cricketers. I mean, they'll take a while because it's a small nation. So they also have interest in football, also athletics, also. But cricket is finally making good progress in Nepal. But Afghanistan has been a revelation. I mean, some of the cricketers are so exciting, and they're so natural. When it comes to T20 cricket, probably it suits them more because of shorter format, a very robust kind of attitude you have to have. And you look at somebody like Rashid Khan. I mean, he has emerged as one of the best bowlers in this format. He can play. He's good in Test matches. He's good in T20 matches, in One Day matches, and he's a very fearless, very interesting bowler who commands a good price in whichever private league he goes to.
I love Rashid Khan. I think Rashid Khan has a billion fans in India alone. And again, I think Rashid Khan has done more for India Afghan relationships than the governments ever can, right? I think cricket is such a great unifier. As with Bollywood, they also love Bollywood and they love Indian TV
Yes.
serials. They have for, even since the Soviet Union times, I think. That's
And
that's true soft power, right? Yeah.
Preeti, India took a lead in helping Afghanistan because they
Yes.
supported Afghanistan cricket,
Yes.
and in fact, the for their benefit, there was this cricket stadium in Greater Noida, which is on the outskirts of Delhi, which was made the home of Afghanistan cricket. So they
Yes.
would come and play their cricket here. They played a test match here. They played one day matches here, and in Dehradun. So they have, and they also acknowledge it. I mean, it's a
Mhm.
fact that India has been like a big brother for them.
Yes.
So, which is good, I think, for cricket in terms of cricket internationally.
No, that's beautiful. I've heard Rashid Khan talk about his gratitude for India. He said we played in India, we practiced here, we practiced on Indian grounds with Indian coaches. So he's forever indebted. And I think during the World Cup, when Afghanistan plays India, India won those games. It was close. It was tight. I think it was interesting if they almost had won. I think that would have been talk about karma and coming full circle. But that's what cricket is. It's a beautiful game. Um,
Yes.
which brings me actually to the other point. In the last 20 years, the ICC has added only two nations to its test playing um, I guess, group of nations, and that's Ireland and Afghanistan. Do you think that in the next decade or so, the ICC could do more to add new nations?
Well, if they can add nothing like it, I mean, it will help you preserve the traditional format. And but Preeti, if you look at Test cricket over the years, in the last 100 years or so, I don't think at any point we have had more than six good
Mhm.
Test nations. Every time, of course, we have had Zimbabwe, we have had Bangladesh, Ireland, of course, but essentially it has been only six nations who kind of play competitive test cricket, which is sad because the game not hasn't really grown when it
Right.
comes to 5 day cricket. I think the reasons are most of these new nations, they've not had a good domestic cricket structure where they
Yes.
can produce five cricketers who can play 3 day, 4 day, 5 day cricket.
Mhm.
And I definitely miss, I feel sorry for the state of cricket in Kenya. I don't know if you remember, Kenya was used to be a very, it promised so much. I mean, it played the
Wow.
semi-finals in 2003 World Cup, and at some point I thought maybe someday Kenya might emerge as a test-playing nation,
Mhm.
but cricket there has suffered immensely, just as Zimbabwe has taken a backseat, even though it continues to play test matches, but not as competitive as it was when it entered the international arena in 1992. It was a very, very good test team. In fact, Preeti, 2001 India lost to Zimbabwe in
Wow.
Zimbabwe. Yeah. So I had the misfortune of writing that about the defeat from Harare. So, but I would love to see more of Test cricket. But I don't know if these are the demands of the time.
Yeah.
This young generation probably loves T20 more. But there are any number of lovers of Test cricket, Preeti, and I'm
Mhm.
sure you would have loved watching the India Australia series, which
Yes.
kind of revived Test cricket, and of course India's victories at home against England.
I enjoyed very much India pretty much thrashing, wiping the floor, both of Australia and especially England. I think that was
Yes.
quite a treat. But your point is so spot on. I think the domestic structures of some of these smaller nations need to be strengthened in the upcoming years if they are to come to the forefront of Test cricket. Do you see the ICC doing that, or are they just going to focus on? Seems like they have their hands full with so many other things.
Yeah, they have. I mean, if you see now, they have this World Test Championship coming up, and then they have their own global cricket tournaments, the T20 World Cup, the ICC their own World Cup, and then the women's events are now. There is so much happening in women's cricket, which is a good sign. I mean, all these years it was neglected, so that should make you very happy. Women's cricket is coming up, so you'll have so much to talk about women's cricket also in future, not just the men's cricket. But ICC is doing its best. They have more than 150 member countries now, and carrying the sport to small nations is a big task. It's a huge challenge to make them understand. So, but they will not be able to add a test nation. Definitely, it will be a very to be very honest. But they will add definitely get more and more teams to play T20 cricket
Yes.
because it's easy to understand, shorter format, and it doesn't require the skills of a test match player. So I think we are going to see some more additions to teams playing T20 cricket internationally.
Excellent. Now, obviously, I live here in Los Angeles, California. Now, did you know that US is the second largest market in the world for cricket, second only to India? And there's a huge diaspora here who are very hungry for cricket. They have the bucks. We can get bums on seats. They will fill up any stadium if there is a tournament. But the question is, hasn't been done yet. What is going on with Cricket America? What do you think can be done? I mean, obviously this is a gold mine that is waiting to happen and nobody's done anything about it. Where do you think people have gone wrong, and how can sort of we manifest something here in the US?
Preeti, if you remember, cricket had come to a stop because there was issues related to corruption
Mm,
in the administration. So that was a huge setback to the game. Otherwise, I mean, if you see the Indians and Pakistanis and Sri Lankans who are settled there, and don't forget the West Indians, the Caribbean influx in America, and also I'm hearing that it is a huge market waiting to be tapped.
yes.
There is no doubt about it. The very fact that the support of Indians in large number, and now a lot of cricketers are looking forward to go and play for US. This morning, I had read Smith Patel, if you remember, who was under 19 World Cupper, is now going to, as applied, and he might be turning out for the American US national team in 1922. That is next year. So I think you're going to watch a lot of cricket in US, and California has its own league also. I remember
Yes.
Venkatapati Raju, Chandrakant Pandit, Lalchand Rajput, all these Indian cricketers. They talk very highly of that league. So it is a market waiting to explode as far as cricket is concerned. And I'm sure someday maybe I'll get an opportunity to come and report a match from California.
Well, I live here and I'm in California, so maybe I'm supposed to be one of the people who is supposed to bring something like this to. I'm
Yes.
an ambassador for cricket to the US. Maybe that's
Good.
what's happening karmically.
Good. It's nice. Good to hear that.
So I do have to ask you, and this is a personal question from me. You've covered a lot of World Cups. Did you cover the 2011 World Cup, and were you physically in the Wankhede Stadium when that final happened?
No, I and my friend were in Delhi. You'll be surprised. He had come from US, and he lives in Chicago. Dr. Nilesh Mehta. He's a very well-known
Hmm.
oncologist, and he also writes on the game. He has gone to 3 World Cups. Yeah.
Wow.
Hi India is the magazine which he writes for. It's very popular there with the expats.
Mm.
So he and I were together. My colleague was covering the game in Mumbai, and yeah, I would have loved to be there. But the thing is, Preeti, if you ask me honestly, by not being there, I could enjoy the game because
Yes,
after the game was over, we did celebrate. Like we went out to we took out the car and went around the city in Delhi to
got it.
watch the celebrations. Which, if I was at the ground, I wouldn't have because I would have spent the time writing my report.
Yes,
I would have missed out on all the celebrations. But I have heard so many stories from that wonderful night, from the players who participated, from the commentators, from some of my journalist friends who were there in the press box. I mean, for them, it was one great moment, which definitely I would have loved. Like we were not there in 1983 in the press box at the Lords, but we did celebrate outside on the streets again in 1983, and the same experience came back in 2011. So it was a memorable night for us. But where were you? How did you
I
celebrate?
was, I have my own story. I was I was in Dubai actually when that game happened. I was traveling um Sydney, no, sorry, Los Angeles to Dubai. I happened to be traveling, and it was just after my birthday. And I remember the I think a few hours after that, or the next day, I had a plane to catch, and I took an Emirates flight. I forget from Dubai to where. Maybe I think I was going to Colombo. I don't know, but the entire flight, there were no Indians on the flight. They were Ethiopians, Nigerians, Sri Lanka, lots of different countries. Almost every single person on this flight congratulated me. They said, "Well done, India, congrats." I'm like, these people are not even Indian. They don't even, doesn't even look like they watch cricket. They know that India won and they're congratulating me because they could see I was Indian. I just thought, again, that's what cricket is about. And you don't even have to be Indian and even watch cricket to know that when India wins a World Cup, the whole world knows about it. Had India won the 2019 World Cup, I know that the Wimbledon was going on, but believe you me, everybody in Europe, UK would know who won because the fans would be out there on the streets. They would just be blue everywhere. And I think that's the beautiful Indian Bharatiya spirit, which has kept cricket alive. So that was my precious moment. And I think at that point, I realized this is very special. I think what's going on with India and India winning anything big in cricket is boosts the game up globally.
True. I mean, I've made many friends because of my cricket travels. Of course, so many of them in the West Indies who probably know more about the Indian
Yes.
traditions than I do. So, and I had some very great friends. I still have Andrew Alderson. He's in New Zealand, a great cricket friend. He's a journalist there. And Don Wigan, he used to be in Australia. He passed away a few years ago. A wonderful friend, and we would exchange notes. We would exchange books, and so cricket, like you say, connects people,
Mhm.
and you end up with great friendship with some of them. And I've been very fortunate in that way. I mean, I have friends in Sri Lanka, I have friends in Pakistan, a lot of them. So cricket has been a wonderful experience.
And I mean, I do a lot of uh, interviews with Pakistani journalists on the issues of human rights and all those geopolitical matters. And then at the end, we always talk about cricket. And the one thing that we both agree on is always that MS Dhoni is our favorite player. That's happened more than once. And that again shows shows the greatness of MSD, but it shows how a player like him can bridge countries and beyond borders. So
Oh yes,
that's beautiful. Yeah.
he was immensely popular in Pakistan. I
He
mean,
still is. He still is.
yeah, he is definitely. But I'm surprised, Preeti, you haven't mentioned Virat Kohli as a popular cricketer.
He still is, but I think with my question of I asked you if you were at the 1K stadium because the real question I wanted to ask you was it doesn't really matter if you were in the stadium or if you watched it on through a television. As Dhoni hit that famous six that no Indian will ever forget, what was going through your mind? Were you nervous? Did you know it was going to go for a home run? Were you speechless? I'm curious what your experience was.
To tell you the truth, I thought that the target was a good one, keeping in mind the Sri Lankan spirit.
Yes.
And but once Gautam Gambhir settled down, because he has a knack of playing big innings on big occasions. He has done it in domestic cricket. He did that in the 2007 World Cup, if you remember the T20 World Cup. He excelled, and here again he showed the way. And when we saw Dhoni promoting himself, I have known him. I'm not saying this in hindsight. He has this great character to assume responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah, and he loves the pressure situation. He loves it because that's what brings out the best out of him. And he's not the one who's going to get nervous ever. I have not seen him ever get nervous, and that comes from the fact that he has a very strong mind. And also it's a word, it's a term used too often, self-belief, and he backs himself to do that, and that's what he was doing that night. And Yuvraj Singh was around, if you remember.
Yeah.
Suresh Raina didn't even have to come and back, but Dhoni and in the middle was always going to finish the game as far as India's chances are concerned. And that six, obviously everyone remembers the six, but I would say it was not just about the six, it was about the team, how they played the whole World Cup at various stages. India had various performers. You look at Sachin's innings in the semi-final, you look at Ashish Nehra's bowling in the semi-final, you look at Harbhajan Singh performing, and then Suresh Raina playing that cameo against Australia. It was very, very crucial in the quarterfinal. But not to forget Gautam Gambhir's innings in the final, because it was very, very critical. He laid the base, he showed you the way, and knowing his mental toughness, I was not surprised. And it was, I think, Preeti, in the fitness of things, that the captain hit the winning shot after
Yes.
having led the team so beautifully.
I think you're absolutely, and people forget. I mean, Gautam's 97 is, the most, people forget that the most, I think, in that World Cup win. They also forget Dhoni's 91 not out.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, he almost came, that would have been fitting, but I think it was right that that captain hit that winning shot, considering everything, and the conviction with which he hit it. I think you could see it in his eyes. It was going to go over the line, and he knew it was in, I think. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was, in fact, he waited. I thought
yes,
he was waiting. He led the whole thing to a situation where
yes,
he was to come up with a winning shot, and this shot in this style. Oh my God! I mean, I think only Dhoni could have done it. And
yes,
as he says, as he has said so many times, he and Virat Kohli, it was their gift to Sachin Tendulkar. I mean, the
yes.
World Cup at the Wankhede Stadium. What more could have Sachin asked for?
Beautiful. And Gautam Gambhir also beautifully says, everybody wanted to win this for Sachin. I wanted to win it for India. That's
Yeah.
also beautiful, because that
Yes.
also shows. And I mean, I'm a big fan of Gautam and even what he's doing post cricket, and he loves his country. We know that, and I think he's a fine politician. So I wish all of them the best of luck. Now, we have had many fan questions, many people
Hmm.
asking tons of questions, and I've picked out three that I think are the most interesting. So I'll let's tackle them. The first one is, where do you see Test cricket 5 years from now globally?
Test cricket will continue to grow. I mean, in the sense, these six nations will ensure that Test cricket doesn't die, and the kind of cricket we watched in Australia makes me believe that there is great future lying ahead for Test cricket, because it will always be valued. Because Test cricket, if you see, Preeti, Test match is identified by each session. Each session is so intriguing, and there are three sessions in a day. So you can imagine the kind of the level of competition, and ICC, I'm sure, will ensure that Test cricket doesn't die. I mean, all these bilateral series, they have their own interests and following. I mean, if you look at India-Pakistan waiting to happen in India-Pakistan Test series, whenever it happens, it's going to be big. Whoever
Yes.
wins, it's going to be very big. India, Australia, every time they play test match, it will be big. India, England will be big. India playing in New Zealand will again be interesting. And when teams travel to India, Preeti, they get good cricket infrastructure to
Yes.
compete in, and also the crowd. If you see how the crowd comes, so I think that it is for the spectators to keep the Test cricket alive as much as for the administrators.
Yeah, I always say if you want cricket to last for another 100 years, the only country that can do that is India, and it's the fans. It's the
Yes.
fans' passion and obsession that will keep it. So whatever you need to do to keep them excited and interested, do it, because if the day they lose interest, it's done. That's just
True.
how it goes.
Very true, very true. India's fans, Preeti, are amazing. I mean, hats off. The way they
Yes.
support the game, whichever, whether IPL or Test match or one day matches, the way they support cricket is amazing. India's fans are probably the best in the world.
I think so. Do you have any suggestions on how we can revive Test cricket? It's
In-
kind of, I know in India it's great, but there are many countries where it's losing its charm and appeal.
Yeah, but it is up to the players and the administrators. As long as administrators ensure there are at least three bilateral series each year, you can have your IPL, you can have your T20 tournaments, you can have your private franchisee leagues, fair enough. But you have to have at least a team should get to play 6 to 8 test matches in a year. That will be fine, given the fact that there is so much of cricket happening, so much of cricket. I mean, you look at the domestic cricket. There is so much of international cricket happening
Mhm.
that these players, Preeti, they hardly get to play domestic.
It's true.
You hardly see them in domestic cricket because they're all busy playing international cricket. So it is for the administrators to ensure that there are enough test matches to sustain interest. And you have to also educate this generation and tell them the importance of playing 5 day cricket.
Yes, that's true. Okay, the next question is, what do you see as the future of the ODIs in international cricket? And do you ever think that the T20 format will replace the 50 over format?
See, 50 over as it is struggling. There is no doubt. I mean, if you see, there is so much of T20 cricket happening, and people are getting hooked on to this format because in 3.5 hours the match is over. So, one day cricket, that is 50 overs format, will have to compete
Mhm.
with T20. I don't know if they will tweak the rules, make it more interesting, or maybe see to it that because there are some suggestions like two bowlers should be allowed to bowl 12 overs each and not just 10 overs to make it more competitive. But again, it's going to be tough because T20 seems to be overtaking the one day cricket format, and there is more audience, I think, for T20 than ODI cricket. It's going to
Interesting.
be a
It
struggle.
almost seems like test is always going to be there because it's the original authentic format, very traditional. People do love that 5 day, experience. And of course the T20 IPL. It's funny because at least for Indians, at least myself growing up, the ODI was the pinnacle. The 50
Yeah.
over World Cup was the pinnacle. And that's why our two wins, they are the most treasured moments of Indian history is the 83 and the 2011 wins, right? And as an Indian, at least, I think most Indian fans will agree, it's that 50 over World Cup. That's when they know that they are the champion of the world. But
Yes.
now with this IPL and T20, it's changing. I hope it doesn't go. It's actually my favorite format. I'm not a huge 20 over, not a big 20 T20 person. IPL is different because there are some franchises I like, there's some players I like, but to me it's a tamasha. It's not real cricket. Test cricket, I'm a huge fan. I'm a purist in that way. So I hope the ODI never leaves us. And in fact, I hope it gets back that importance and popularity that it had before this T20 thing ever came up.
I'm so happy that I mean, you love Test cricket because to me there is nothing like Test cricket. I mean,
Yes,
you prepare for a match, you go to the ground before the game begins. And at the end of the day's play, you discuss the game and you come back again next day. So 5 days of intense cricket, and like I say, yes. T20 is exciting, but then it looks very monotonous, Preeti.
yes,
The whole thing looks so monotonous, and IPL is basically entertainment. That's how people look at it. It's you watch and forget it because you don't remember IPL games as much you would remember a test match.
yes.
But I want to know: do you know of any other sport which has so many formats? Test cricket, ODI, T20. Now there is 100. Then there is 3 day cricket, 4 day cricket, 5 day cricket. So
No, there isn't. And isn't it funny that cricket originally is a elite English sport, and now a country like India, some little kid in a little town playing gully cricket can
yes,
be the number one player in the world. That's what globalization of cricket has done, I think, for the sport, and that's better for everybody, including England, because they also have their own stories of people. It's not an elite sport anymore. Anybody with the skill and passion can get there. And I like tradition, so I like the traditional aspect of it. It truly is the gentleman's game. When
it
they play
is.
ODI and T20, I think that you can see a very, I don't know, they get aggressive and it's different. But in test, even a Kohli, right? I mean, all of them are just so many, the manners, the tradition, the grace, very, very gentlemanly like, and I like that.
Very true. I mean, and you look at the soul stories which have emerged in Indian cricket. Look at Rishabh Pant, Mohammad
Yes,
Siraj, how they
yes,
have emerged from what kind of background. Natarajan,
yes.
these are great stories, great inspiration, inspiring stuff for this young generation, and we will get to hear more and more such stories.
Washington Sundar to Aksar
Washington.
Patel, all
Yes,
of
yes.
there's Harpreet Brar, so many, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. I'm so happy you follow them so closely. But I mean, amazing stories which have come in the last couple of years.
And finally, the last question is the most interesting one. Now, the original question said one moment, but I think there are so many moments in Indian cricket history. I'm gonna give you. I want three from you. What do you think are the three most um, the three moments in Indian cricket history that brought in the revolution and gave us gave us the dominance that we have today? Surely there were turning points, and were there three wins or three actual shots or moments, or and it just curious to see from you, because I even put a poll out, and people are pretty divided about this, but I'm curious to know yourself as a journalist, what, as you've reported in a lot of these, which ones do you think are the three?
See, for me, and I'm not trying to impose my opinion on you. For me, there were three turning points which will always be the turning points for me. One was the 1971, the year of 1971, when India beat the West Indies in the West Indies,
Wow.
and then they went to England to beat England in England. So that year gave kind of announced India as a team which travels well and can win away from home.
Mhm.
And that was a those two were epic achievements at Port of Spain and at the Oval, and produced some great heroes. And then the 1983 World Cup, which changed the face of Indian cricket, because till then India was considered a joke when it came to limited overs cricket. And even in that tournament,
Wow.
if you remember, Preeti, nobody gave any chance to the team. And look at how it went on to win the World Cup, and beating probably the most formidable opposition ever you can think of
Yes.
in one day cricket. the 83 team of the West Indies, Preeti, which lost to India at Lords, it was probably, to me, that was the greatest team ever in one day
Wow.
cricket. Yeah, yeah. And if you go and see the scorecard, and then the 2007 T20 World Cup was again the turning point,
Yes.
because till then India was opposing, was not really inclined to play T20 cricket, and the tournament happened without Saurav Ganguly, Sachin Tendulkar, Rahul Dravid. I mean, they decided to stay away, and this young team led by Dhoni,
Yes. His
yeah,
first, yeah.
yes, it made history, and it created the platform for T20 to prosper, because once the team won, it came back to such a, I mean, what a reception it got
Yes.
at Bombay. I mean, it. I am told it took what? That's what I read. Some 4 hours or 5 hours for them to reach from the airport to the hotel they were staying at in South Bombay. So I think these three were turning points. There will be many more, and
Yes.
you are free to disagree with me. But for me, these three will be my turning points or maybe the most memorable moments
Yes.
of Indian cricket.
I love that you included the 2007 because many might not. I think they would say the NatWest, Saurav with his shirtless Saurav at Lords. Many would have said the 2011 World Cup, but I think the 2007 one is special with the young captain, a young team, and in a way, think India kind of almost made that whole T20 World Cup format what it is today. And I think history will be very kind to Srishant for
Yes.
taking that very tough catch in the end. I mean, Dhoni talks about it. He said it looks easy, but often the easiest catches are the most difficult. This was a do or die situation. Imagine if he had dropped that, what
Oh
would have
God,
happened? I think
absolutely.
he just had the gods in his favor, and he knew he got it, and his reaction was phenomenal, and he was a real
Phenomenal.
hero.
Absolutely. And imagine Misbah could have hit that ball out of the
Yes.
stadium. I don't know why whatever he did, India was destined to win the final.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, yeah, yeah. So Joginder Sharma, who took that wicket, never
Yes.
played another match for India, Preeti.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
that,
And
that
RP Singh was amazing in that too. He was the
yes.
real champion. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, Gambhir played a crucial innings, if you remember, in the final. So that was a fabulous team, and they've done very well for themselves. They've done very well for themselves, and like you say, yes, if Srisanth had dropped the catch, I think he would have taken citizenship of some other country.
Because this poor guy was under so much pressure before and after that, right? I mean, he's had an interesting karmic journey, I think. Quite the character. He should really write a book on his life. I think it would be a great
Really,
read.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, he's one wonderful cricketer who's wasted
Yes.
his career, if you ask me. He was destined, he was capable of much, much more, an absolute brilliant fast bowler,
Hmm.
but an underachiever.
I guess everyone has their own journey with the sport. So
Yes.
those wow, that was such an amazing conversation. Now I just want to end with your predictions for some of these upcoming games. I think, look, it's all up in the air, but it's always fun to just take a shot at it and see how well we've done. So I'll name the tournament and you tell me who you think is going to win. Between the England and New Zealand Test series.
I'll back England because they're playing at home and they are a good side, a very well balanced side, and it's going to be very tough for New Zealand. And but I can be awfully wrong, Preeti. You never know in cricket. But England has the upper edge because they are a fabulous Test team.
Okay, and then the World Test Championship final between India and New Zealand.
India, definitely
Okay.
India, because it has a very good the probably the best top six batsmen in the world when it comes to Test cricket, and then fabulous bowling lineup, so they should be able to counter New Zealand. But the only thing is, depends again on the playing conditions. If they suit seam bowling, obviously India will find it very difficult. But I will back India to win the match at Southampton.
Wow. And between the India versus England Test series.
Oh, that's going to be very tough. It's going to be very tough because England is going to come very hard after they were wiped off in India after having won the first test. But trust me, this Indian team is very determined, and they're preparing very well. They are the kind of the conditions they're going to encounter. There is a lot of tactical acumen with the team in Ravi Shastri, and the support staff is working very hard. And I expect Virat Kohli to lead by example. This is one series where he would love to dominate, and expect India, and I expect India to do well, to go on and win the series. But like I said, I can be proved wrong because I'm not an astrologer. But but I think India winning the World Test Championship, India winning the series, and England winning the series would be what I would say.
And who do you think will win the IPL this year?
IPL, I was backing right through. I was backing Delhi Capitals, and you are a Chennai Super Kings fan. So let us have a Chennai versus Delhi final.
Yes.
But remember, Preeti, Bangalore has never won it, and this time also again they are showing very good signs. So I expect Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, and Chennai to be in the semi-finals, and then maybe I live in Delhi, so I'll back. I want Delhi to win.
And then the T20 final?
T20 is being held in India, so India will definitely start as favorites. There's no doubt. And please don't rule out Pakistan. It is a very fast improving team. They have got some very exciting players, and they are also wanting to prove, they want to win the hearts of their fans who are very demanding. And it will be good for the world cricket if Pakistan also does well. But since the tournament is in India, I think the Indians are best qualified, best prepared, and in terms of talent, in terms of strength, balance, India probably has the best side T20 to win the T20 World Cup.
There is a lot of talk of it, and we should have a wager on this. I actually think it's going to be in the UAE, considering the IPL is also in the UAE. In case it's in the UAE, will India still star as favorites? Probably. Similar pitch condition.
Yes, because see, the T20 World Cup, Preeti, is not organized by India. It is an ICC tournament.
Yes.
So you will not be. There will be the pitches will be under the control of ICC. I mean, they will dictate what kind of pitches will be provided for the tournament. So I'm not saying that India BCCI would have prepared the spinning tracks. No, they wouldn't have done that because it is all done under the monitoring of ICC. So even if it is UAE, India will continue to be the favorite because of the overall strength of the team.
And finally, who's going to win the Ashes next year?
Ashes. It's a very tough one, but I want Australia to win. I don't want England to win.
I think most people want Australia to win.
Yes,
Including a million Indians. So yeah.
I know Australians they play very exciting cricket, and they set examples.
Yes.
They set benchmarks. So
Yeah.
Australia has always been the leader. If you look at it, of course, of late India is doing exceptionally well in world cricket. But for cricket followers, the eternal favorite or the team to watch has always been Australia. They have had some fabulous cricketers over the years, and I want Australia to win the Ashes. What about you?
Wonderful. Well, with that, I want to thank you for this wonderful conversation that we've had. Please share with our audience where they can find you, how they can reach out to you.
I have here it is my Twitter handle at Vijay Lokapally, and I'm not very fond of Instagram, old fashioned. Plus, yeah, that's my email address also, vijaylokapally@gmail.com. So they can reach out to me anytime. And I love Preeti. I keep in touch with whole lot of young fans and young writers and these youngsters who make do these podcasts. Believe me, they're very smart,
Yes.
very smart. I've done some podcasts with them, and they make me very nervous with
Mhm.
their questions. So I tell them, please send me the questions in advance.
Yeah.
But I love interacting with them. So thanks to the social media, which
Wonderful.
has helped
I
me
hope,
connect with you. Yeah.
and I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. It was so riveting, and you are one of my first in my new series, Power Play with Preeti. So much more to come.
Thank you very much. And I should say I'm pleasantly surprised by your cricket, because I never thought you were going to ask me so many cricket questions. So I've loved it's been a wonderful experience talking to you. Absolutely brilliant.
Thank you, Vijayji. It's been a pleasure. Look forward to chatting with you again, and I hope your predictions come true, especially all the ones where you said India would win. Uh, Thank you, audience. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please, like, subscribe, comment, share this amazing video. We need your support. Thank you so much for supporting me, and thank you for watching the Preeti experience. Dhanyawad. Thank you.
Preeti, before we go, stay safe, stay blessed, and mask up and keep social distancing.
Absolutely. This is actually to all of India, right? Stay safe, stay strong, stay connected. India together. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Jai Hind. Jai Hind. Thank you, Preeti.